If you have ever walked into a Buddhist temple, or looked closely at a statue of the Buddha, you may have noticed something peculiar about his appearance. Look at his hair. It isn't flowing, and it isn't shaved completely bare. Instead, it is depicted as hundreds of tight, perfect, spiral curls. Sometimes, it is even shown with a distinct, rounded protuberance at the top of his skull. For centuries, art historians and scholars have analyzed this. Is it a symbol of royalty? A representation of cosmic energy? Or perhaps just a stylistic choice of ancient sculptors? But in the lush, ancient forests of Southeast Asia, there is a different answer. A story passed down through generations of monks and villagers. A story that doesn't speak of royalty or cosmic energy, but of a scorching sun, a silent vow, and the ultimate sacrifice made by the smallest, most unlikely creatures on earth. This is the untold, mysterious tale of how snails gave their lives to shape the very image of the Enlightened One. To understand the hair, we must first understand the heat. The year is roughly 500 BCE. Siddhartha Gautama, a prince who had abandoned his palace, his wealth, and his royal comforts, has been searching for the end of human suffering. After years of extreme asceticism and wandering, he arrives at a spot in Bodh Gaya, beneath the sprawling branches of a sacred Bodhi tree. He sits down in the lotus position. And he makes a vow that will echo through eternity. He declares, "Let my skin and sinews and bones dry up, together with all the flesh and blood of my body. I welcome it. But I will not move from this spot until I have attained the supreme and final wisdom." He enters jhana, a state of profound, unbroken meditative absorption. Days pass. Then, weeks. The dry season is at its peak. The sun beats down mercilessly upon the Indian subcontinent. The air shimmers with heat. While his mind is traversing the cosmos, exploring past lives and the mechanics of karma, his physical body is subjected to the brutal reality of the natural world. His shaved head, exposed to the relentless tropical sun, begins to burn. But his vow is absolute. He will not move. He will not seek shade. He will not break his concentration. In Buddhist philosophy, profound spiritual energy does not go unnoticed. When a being cultivates immense compassion and stillness, it sends ripples through the fabric of nature. Animals, insects, and even the trees themselves are said to feel the resonance of a great soul. Deep in the underbrush beneath the Bodhi tree, a colony of forest snails sensed this immense, radiating energy. But as they drew closer, they also sensed something else, the unbearable, blistering heat radiating from the Buddha's exposed scalp. Now, consider the biology of a snail. They are creatures of moisture, of cool shadows, of damp earth. The sun is their enemy. To venture out into the scorching heat is to risk death. Yet, moved by an instinctual, profound empathy for the meditating prince, the snails made a collective, silent decision. One by one, they began to climb. They crawled up the rough bark of the Bodhi tree. They navigated the branches. And finally, they reached the crown of the Buddha's head. They didn't come to harm him. They came to shield him. The snails spread themselves across his scalp, their cool, moist bodies forming a living, breathing helmet. They absorbed the brutal rays of the sun, sacrificing their own moisture to keep the Buddha's head cool. As the hours turned into days, the sun continued to bake the earth. The snails, trapped on his head, began to dry out. They could not retreat to the damp soil. They could not seek the shade. One by one, they perished, their bodies drying into their shells, holding their ground to the very end. They gave their lives so that the Buddha's meditation would remain undisturbed. On the 49th day, as the morning star appeared in the eastern sky, Siddhartha Gautama broke through the final veil of ignorance. He attained nirvana. He was now the Buddha, the awakened one. He slowly opened his eyes. The world looked different. It was vibrant, interconnected, and overflowing with a profound, universal love. But as he shifted his posture, breaking his long stillness, he felt a strange, brittle weight upon his head. He reached up and touched his scalp. He found hundreds of dried snail shells. In that moment of supreme omniscience, the Buddha saw everything. He saw the snails in the underbrush. He saw their climb. He felt their selfless intention, and he witnessed their slow, silent sacrifice. Even in his state of transcendent enlightenment, free from worldly sorrow, the Buddha's heart was moved by their karuna, their compassion. These tiny, seemingly insignificant creatures had performed the highest act of dana, generosity. They had given their very lives for his awakening. To honor their ultimate sacrifice, the Buddha decreed that their image would never be forgotten. In traditional Buddhist iconography, the Buddha is described as having the 32 marks of a great man, Mahapurusha Lakkhana. One of these marks is the ushnisha, the cranial protuberance symbolizing his supreme wisdom. But it is the texture of his hair that tells the snail's story. His hair is forever depicted in tight, right-turning spiral curls, known as kokala. Each and every single curl is said to represent the shell of a sacrificial snail. It is a permanent, physical reminder etched into the very image of the enlightened one. It teaches a profound philosophical lesson: enlightenment is not a solitary achievement. The Buddha's awakening was supported by the earth, by the tree, by the Mara he conquered, and by the lowest, smallest creatures of the forest. It reminds us that compassion is not just a human trait, and that true wisdom recognizes the interconnectedness of all living beings, no matter how small. The next time you see a statue of the Buddha, look closely at his hair. Don't just see a stylistic choice. See the snails. Remember that the greatest sacrifices are often made in silence, by those who ask for no recognition. And remember that compassion, true compassion, comes in all shapes and sizes. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a moment of peace today, and subscribe for more untold stories from history and mythology. Until next time, may you find your own moment of stillness beneath the Bodhi tree.